Who stands out to you with this Ohio State class? Where did they do a very good job? Where did they do an excellent job in attracting talent and addressing needs?
I think it starts with linebacker. They grab Raekwon Mcmillan, one of the best linebackers in the entire country.
Raekwon.
Awesome name.
Raekwon.
Yeah. If you match up the timeline of Enter the Wu-Tang and when Raekwon was born.
Not an accident.
Not exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Big fan of Raekwon. I think he can get on the field early. He's also an early enrollee for them, and so I would expect him to perhaps start for them next year. Damon Webb is a kid I like a lot. The defensive back talent in the Midwest is not that great. And I was at the Columbus Nike Combine, and you had some kids competing at corner.
It's fine.
Right, and there were a lot of them that weren't great, but Webb was really, really good. And what impressed me about Damon was that he took every single rep, and he would jump in to take more reps and more reps. And even though he was dog-tired, he was getting beat on some of them. This is a kid with just great determination and tenacity, and I really like that. That's what you need in your corner, a guy who can forget the previous rep, get out there and battle every single play. That was really big. They keep Jamarco Jones, who took that late visit to Michigan State. Yeah. I know that there was a lot of strife about that in Columbus. And then Dante Booker is a really, really active. If Raekwon's your big thumper of a linebacker, Dante is more of your small pass, not small, but smaller pass coverage type backer. It's a really nice class and clearly the best in the Big Ten.
All right, and when you look at the depth of this Ohio State class, are there any other names that further on down the line stand out to you, perhaps as project types, or is it really the headliners with Jamarco and Raekwon and Damon? Yeah,
I think adding Paris Campbell is a big deal for them. A really electric playmaker. We've seen Urban Meyer when he was at Florida get the ball to those young speedsters in that spread offense. Last year didn't do it quite as much. They used Dontre Wilson some. If Paris Campbell can get on the field, I think he can really make some things happen for them. And the offensive tackle they took from Virginia Tech at the last minute, whose name I forget. Anyway, I like him a lot. He's a 3-star, but I think he has a really high upside.
Okay, and Ohio State, of course, addresses receiver, offensive line, and linebacker. Offensive line, they lose a lot up front. So you're not saying that true freshmen are going to come in and play right away, but maybe rotation guys, maybe compete, and are there for depth. So obviously Urban Meyer recruiting better than anybody in the Big Ten, which I don't think is a surprise to anybody. We should take a look at Raekwon Mcmillan.
Oh, we should.
His name is Raekwon, and he destroys humans. So we do have clips of Raekwon, if we can roll that, but I'm very excited to see what he can do, especially as this defense evolves. You're about to see people just get blown up and balls get jarred.
And I like the black and gold, too, on the uniform.
You like the black and gold?
Oh, yeah.
And physically, he's ready. Yeah.
Some of these high school kids, are you really signing up for this? Are you sure you're not taking a sick day when you're playing Raekwon Mcmillan in high school?
I can't see it being a good thing.
And they throw him the ball, too.
Right.
Try to tackle
because why not? And he's just going to fill gaps.
Takes on a block there really well and then reaches around it. Might be a little bit of a face mask, but does a nice job here in lateral pursuit. Not a very good block attempt, but look at that. He shows the ability. That's what you look for in that middle linebacker. Is he big enough to play the run, but can he? Oh, he just crashes there on a great penetration play.
Right.
But can he get outside? Can he be on the field for 3 downs? And I think that was a bit of a question with him, but he showed well his senior year. I think in the Big Ten especially, he has a chance to be a true 3-down middle linebacker, and that's what really separates the great middle linebackers from the ones that are simply good. Can I count on you to play pass coverage as well?
Yeah, and you see how active he is sideline to sideline. Has a very now experienced defensive line in front of him, high-level guys, Adolphus Washington, Noah Spence,
and when he comes
Joey
for
Bosa.
you, your legs stop.
Right.
You don't run this guy over. Your momentum is done when he touches you.
He's a wall that moves at you.
Yeah, I mean, he's about 240 in high school for a backer, which is just huge.
Right. So, okay, so that's a good thing for Ohio State. That's a fantastic thing. And here to talk about more good things, we have the editor of Land Grant Holy Land, Luke Zimmerman, also of SB Nation. He's down in D.C. Luke Zimmerman, as big an Ohio State fan as I know. So, Luke Zimmerman, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
And are you excited today? Because you have a Raekwon in your midst.
Yeah, it was a pretty nice, morning, afternoon, whatever you want to call it. I guess Ohio State was actually done by about 10, although there's actually been some sort of drama evolving sort of as I'm talking to you guys. There's a report from some guy tangentially involved with Max Preps and CBS College Sports that Ohio State may have flipped Darius Slade, who originally flipped from Nebraska to Michigan State, then didn't sign. So that's something worth keeping an eye on. I'm still trying to verify the validity of that. The school hasn't acknowledged it yet, so it's not official. But it's crazy. Ohio State got all the guys they thought they'd be getting by about 10 a.m. So I guess in terms of up until this moment in time, it's been pretty uneventful overall.
All right, fair enough. And we talked about Raekwon Mcmillan. Jamarco Jones obviously takes the late visit to Michigan State. Who do you expect to immediately come in and compete for spots, compete for depth? Who has that polish, who has that physical size? We know Urban Meyer has the experience to recruit, not just in the Midwest, but during his time at Florida, did a very good job. Raekwon Mcmillan, of course, coming up from Georgia. Who do you expect, name-wise, to be near the top of the depth chart spring and fall camp?
Bud and I have talked about this extensively. Like, Ohio State has, the 24/7 composite, third best class in the country, and by all regards, just have guys that are capable of stepping right in and playing immediately. But Urban Meyer, at least this past season, with an even better class, was extremely conservative with the guys that can go ahead and either burn the red shirt on or play in meaningful situations. I'd say a decent number of guys from the 2013 class did play, but whether or not they're actually getting snaps of consequences is something else. And McMillan's a guy you mentioned. He's got not only the skills and the attributes to step in right away. I think earlier today on local sports talk radio, Meyer singled him out as already looking the part of a college junior. But beyond that, we're going to see. And I told this to Bud, and he laughed. The other guy that's most likely to make an immediate impact would be Buckner, Kentucky prospect Sean Nurenberger, who's the kicker. His dad actually played against the Dream Team on the German national basketball team way back in '92. But okay. Sean's got a boot. Ohio State needs a kicker. Unless he gets beat out by a walk-on or a specialist tries to kick Anton or something like that, Nurenberger will probably be the guy. So I think those two are the ones that stands out. In terms of other guys that could get snaps right away, Curtis Samuel is a running back wide receiver from Erasmus Hall, Brooklyn prospect. You don't see too many Brooklyn guys, but Ohio State was recruiting a pair of them and landed Samuel in particular. Electric, Oregon-type talent that I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yep.
Kind of in the same make and model as Dontre Wilson, who went from Oregon to Ohio State a year ago. I think he'll have the possibility to get some snaps, maybe at like an H-back type position. And then Johnny Dixon is an early enrollee from Palm Beach Gardens, Dwyer. He's a 4-star. Depending on who you talk to, some people really love his upside. Some people think he's just more of a safe type wide receiver. But Meyer's good about him as well, and I think that he could be a guy that sees action early.
And further on down the line, who do you expect, maybe because they're not physically ready, maybe they're just a little bit raw in terms of football, who are you excited to see maybe 2016, 2017, when they fill out, when they get years in the system? What are some long-term project names, if any, in this Ohio State class to you?
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of guys that have extremely high upside, but in terms of instant impact, there's going to be next to none. Terry Mclaurin is an absolute burner from Indianapolis, who's kind of a late bloomer. He got his 4-star, that old adage about guys getting higher evaluations after committing to the big boys. He had just a huge breakout cycle at the whole, Nike football training. I don't know what you want to call that, recruiting industrial complex that leads to the opening. He was a star at that. Kind of really stood out at the Spark Combine. I think he's a guy that could be a huge impact deep for Ohio State here in a couple of seasons. Matt Hooker is a guy that Western Pennsylvania recruiting experts really like. He's extremely raw. I don't really know what to make of him. He's definitely an athlete's athlete, but Ohio State projects him to safety. He could be a guy that in a couple seasons plays. Paris Campbell's a former 3-star, finished as a 4-star in the composite rankings from St. Vincent, St. Mary, the same high school that produced LeBron. They've actually got 2 of those kids in this class. But Campbell's another electric guy that could be a wide receiver or running back. Ohio State has him listed as a wide receiver for now. He's likely probably to redshirt or maybe just play on special teams in the interim. And then 2 other names just to keep an eye on. Kyle Berger, outside linebacker from St. Ignatius up in Cleveland. He had an injury this past season, his senior year, so I think he's going to probably wind up redshirting for certain. And then Dylan Thompson is a defensive end from Illinois, extremely raw, but high upside with him as well. So I think that there's a bunch of names that could you won't see him for a year or 2, maybe 3.
Sure.
But when they get out there, they could be really good ones.
All right, that is Luke Zimmerman, editor, Land Grant Holy Land, obviously the superior Ohio State destination on the interwebs. He and Matt Brown do a fantastic job, and the whole staff at Land Grant Holy Land, so be sure to check out Land Grant Holy Land on the SB Nation Network for all things Ohio State. Luke, have yourself a fantastic day, especially now that the day is essentially over for you as an Ohio State recruiting fan.
Thanks, guys. Take care.